Hey everyone, my name's Justin, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to create some graffiti inspired street art in Photoshop. So what I have open is an interestingly textured wall and then a photo of an object that I want to apply as a stencil or graffiti onto that wall. The first thing you want to do is cut out your object. Now this doesn't have to be a perfect cutout, so I've really been liking the quick selection tool. So with the quick selection tool selected, you want to work on add to selection mode and use a brush size that allows you to comfortably paint in your selection within the details of your photo, like the fingertips and the arms. Now as you can see, Photoshop is kind of messing up and it's selecting some of the bricks, but don't worry, it's going to be pretty easy to clean that up. Once you have a pretty decent selection, head over to subtract from selection mode and do a little bit of cleanup work on some of the areas where Photoshop went a bit too far with the selection. If there's any last areas you need to fill in, you can go back to add to selection mode and fill those areas in. But don't worry about getting too clean on the edges because that's where the refine edge tool will come into play. So in your refine edge menu, you can paintbrush in some of the finer areas like hair or some edges that were hard to select, and Photoshop will do a better job blending them in. You can also adjust the overall radius of the edge, which will smooth things out, and shift the edge inward or outward depending on your photo, and play around with the smoothness. Really, you don't want to go too overboard. Just a little bit of cleanup is all you need because this effect doesn't require too perfect of a selection. So press OK once you're done, and then right click and layer via copy, and you should have your selection all on its own layer. So if you're happy with how it turned out, go ahead and drag your document down, and then take this layer and drag it onto the photo or wall layer. My photo is a bit too big compared to my wall, but I'll fix that just by going to Edit, Free Transform, and then hold Shift and drag it down to a size and placement that I like. So I'll press Enter to place my photo right there, and next we're going to turn it into a stencil and blend it into the wall. So first I'm going to remove the color from this image by using the shortcut Shift-Command-U to desaturate it. You could also go to Image, Adjustments, Desaturate. Next, we're going to turn it into a stencil by going to Image, Adjustments, Posterize. Now the level of posterizations is kind of like the level of cutouts. So 2 would just be a solid black and white, and 3 would have a level of gray, and so on. You really want to keep it around 2 to 3. I'm going to use 3 to bring out some of the details of my image. And then you want to set the blending mode of this layer to Hard Light. You'll see that that gray that we had kind of disappears because it's such a mid-gray that the background overtakes it. And then next you want to set the opacity of this layer to about 80 to 90% to allow some of the texture of the background wall to show through. Next, right-click and select Blending Options, and in this cool little Blend If menu, you can tell Photoshop to only blend if the underlying layer is within a certain range of colors. So if we drag the underlying layer slider up from black, you can see some of the shadows of the background start to creep in, and this really helps sell the illusion that the stencil is on the wall. So bring up some of those shadows, so if there's any greenage or leaves or anything like that, it'll overtake your stencil. And then you can also hold Option or Alt to split this slider, and that'll give you a little bit of feathering so it's not so harsh. So that's a really good tip. So feather this in, and now you can see that the chipping of the wall and all that really is showing through. So once you're happy with your blending, go ahead and press OK, and you have your final stenciled image. If you guys did enjoy this tutorial, definitely subscribe to my channel to stay tuned for all of my future tutorials and Photoshop videos. And if you had any questions or comments, feel free to let me know. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.